The nation's top law enforcement officer was asked to do one thing: turn around, look at the survivors behind her. Women whose private details, home addresses, explicit images her department exposed to the world. Her response? Theatrics. I won't get in the gutter. America's Attorney General just told sexual abuse survivors that acknowledging them is beneath her dignity. Yesterday, Pam Bondi sat before the House Judiciary Committee. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal asked 5 minutes of laser-focused questions. How did the DOJ redact billionaires' names while publishing survivors' personal information? Jayapal asked the survivors in the gallery to stand, then made one simple request: turn around and see them. Bondi refused. Watch what happens next, and I'll break down why this matters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Attorney General Bondi, right here. We are joined in this room by some of the thousands of survivors from Jeffrey Epstein's horrific sex trafficking ring. They have shown such incredible courage in speaking out, in demanding accountability to bring the predators and pedophiles to justice. The Epstein Files Transparency Act required your Department of Justice to disclose the perpetrators connected with Epstein's criminal activities and to redact the information of survivors to protect their identities. Let me show you what actually happened. First, in violation of the law, your department has shown a pattern of redacting the names of powerful predators. Here behind me is one example of an email from Epstein to a man whose name was redacted. The email reads, quote, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." Only after members of Congress demanded that we see the unredacted files did the world learn the name of this individual, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, the chairman and CEO of a company that had financial ties to President Trump's business and personal ties to Trump's advisor, Steve Bannon. Second, the survivors were not similarly protected, also in violation of the law. Here is another email titled Epstein Victim List. We have blurred the names of the survivors for their protection, but your Department of Justice initially released this list of 32 survivors' names with only one name redacted, along with numerous files that disclose not only the names, the emails, and the addresses of survivors, but also nude photographs and even the identities of Jane Does who had been protected for decades until your department released their names. Survivors are now telling us that their families are finding out for the first time that they were trafficked by Epstein. In their words, quote, "This release does not provide closure. It feels like a deliberate attempt to intimidate survivors, punish those who came forward, and reinforce the same culture of secrecy that allowed Epstein's crimes to continue for decades." To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand. Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before, Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi,
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question
Attorney General
that I
can
would
respond to your
like you
question.
to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors. This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
That's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't
It is
like the
my
answer.
time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't
a
she ask
question.
Merrick Garland this?
I am
twice
reclaiming
when he
my
sat in
time,
my
and
chair?
when I
will
reclaim my
continue to
time,
answer.
it is
Mr. Chairman, the
my
gentlelady's
time.
reclaimed
I'm
her
not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say this.
I'll direct it to
What a
you.
massive
No, I'm
cover-up.
answering a
Mr.
question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is
I'm not going to get in
interrupting.
the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time
doing
and
theatrics.
let me have my
The
time.
gentlelady from Washington controls the time. The gentlelady has 17 seconds. You can proceed with your final
Thank you.
17 seconds.
What a massive cover-up this has been and continues to be. Donald Trump made the release of the Epstein files the center of his political campaign because he thought it would benefit him. Then you got into office, Attorney General, claimed to have a client list, only
Regular
to
order.
then say that there was no list. Your deputy, Todd Blanche, met alone with Elaine Maxwell and transferred her to a minimum security prison. And now you continue the cover-up, and I wish that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level
Chairman,
apologize
The chair now
to them
recognizes the chair.
on what you have done.
Time of the gentlelady
yield
expired.
back.
The gentlelady, you have no time to yield back.
Theatrics.
We appreciate that. We appreciate the thought. And I would argue the central issue in the last election, the presidential election, was securing the border.
All right, here's what you need to know that wasn't in that exchange. The Transparency Act, which passed the House 427-1, as in virtually every single member of Congress voted for it, except Clay Higgins of Louisiana, the lone holdout, who apparently looked at a bill designed to protect trafficking survivors and thought, I'm good, is extremely specific about what the DOJ is allowed to redact. According to the actual text of the statute, the law bars redactions made on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. The only category that's supposed to be protected, survivors' personal information. So, what did her DOJ actually do? According to the Wall Street Journal, the names of 43 out of 47 known victims were left completely unredacted in the files. According to CBS News, attorneys for survivors have documented at least 31 people who were victimized as children whose identities were exposed. Meanwhile, the names of powerful men with connections to the case, including Sultan Ahmed bin Salam, the chairman and CEO of DP World, an Emirati businessman who, according to Bloomberg, exchanged emails with Epstein for over a decade after his conviction, including one where Epstein wrote, "I loved the abuse footage." That name was redacted. A man whose company had financial ties to Trump's business, who, according to The Lever, asked Epstein to connect him with Elon Musk, and who emailed Epstein before Trump's first inauguration asking if he could shake hands with Trump. His name got the protection. The survivors got their private photos published. And it gets worse. According to CNBC, photographers at the hearing captured images of a binder she brought with her that was labeled Jayapal Pramila Search History, a printout of the Congresswoman searches of the DOJ's database. As Jayapal herself pointed out,
Mike Johnson did say publicly that he thought it was unacceptable. Other Republicans have said that they don't think it's appropriate. I've come to not expect anything from this Republican Party, frankly, but I would hope that many of the Republicans that I've worked with on surveillance and privacy issues, on FISA, on so many other things, would speak up and say this is absolutely inappropriate. It has to stop. And the Department of Justice has to be held accountable. We need an investigation. What information did they collect? Why were they collecting it? How were they going to use it? Why was it in her binder? These are all questions that the American people deserve to have answered.
the DOJ had given members of Congress access to unredacted files just 2 days before the hearing in a secure room with individual login-ins. The implication, the DOJ may have opened access to lawmakers specifically to monitor what questions they were preparing to ask. The department that can't manage to redact a survivor's home address somehow had the bandwidth to surveil a sitting member of Congress's reading habits. According to CBS News, Jayapal's office is now organizing a letter seeking to investigate what she calls improper surveillance of lawmakers reviewing the files. And remember, this is the same woman who went on Fox News in February 2025 and said when asked about the client list, quote, "It's sitting on my desk right now to review." The DOJ released a memo in July 2025 admitting that no such client list exists and never did. This is the same department whose Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, who used to be Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer, met alone with Galilean Maxwell, a convicted trafficker, over 2 days last July. And according to Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, 1 week later, Maxwell was transferred to a minimum security prison camp in Texas, a facility typically reserved for nonviolent first-time offenders. Bureau of Prisons policy requires registered offenders to be housed at minimum in a low-security facility. Maxwell is 3 years into a 20-year sentence for trafficking minors. So when she sits there and calls this theatrics, when she says she won't get in the gutter, understand what she is actually doing. She is protecting powerful people who had connections to the case, punishing the survivors who came forward, and then attacking anyone who notices. And this isn't a partisan observation. Republican Thomas Massie, who co-authored the Transparency Act, told her at that same hearing, literally, the worst thing you could do to survivors, you did. Her response, she called him a hypocrite with Trump derangement syndrome. That's her answer to everything. Not accountability, not transparency, name-calling. The next time someone tells you this DOJ is releasing the files, here's what you can tell them. They redacted the abusers and exposed the victims, transferred a convicted trafficker to a Kushere prison after a private meeting with Trump's former lawyer, and then called the survivor's pain a performance. So what does this actually mean for you? If you're a survivor of severe abuse in this country, your Department of Justice just sent you a message. Come forward and we might publish your name, your address, and your photos. And then when you ask for accountability, the nation's top prosecutor will call you a prop and insult the Congresswoman asking on your behalf. That's not a hypothetical. Survivors at the hearing are telling reporters they've been flooded with disgusting private messages since the DOJ released their information. Imagine your employer accidentally emailing your social security number to the entire company, except instead of your employer, it's the federal government. And instead of your social security number, it's the fact that you were exploited as a child. On an institutional level, this is the Attorney General openly demonstrating that the Department of Justice operates as Trump's personal protection service. She spent her hearing calling Trump the greatest president in American history, citing the Dow Jones average during questions about human trafficking, and calling the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee a washed-up loser lawyer. According to NPR, her tenure has included firing career prosecutors who worked on Capitol riot cases, dropping prosecutions of Trump allies, and bringing charges against Trump's political opponents, including cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York AG Letitia James that were dismissed by a federal judge. The Justice Department is appealing that decision. What is this all actually for? To protect Donald Trump from whatever is in those files? To keep powerful men comfortable? To make sure that a convicted trafficker gets a nicer prison in exchange for saying Trump is innocent of any wrongdoing, which is literally what Maxwell's lawyer offered this week. The man who said on camera in 2002 that Epstein likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. That's the person this whole apparatus is designed to shield. And they can't even do the cover-up competently. Remember, this is the same team that claimed a client list was on the desk, then said there was no client list, then blamed the FBI, then blamed Biden, then called everyone who noticed a failed politician. It's also worth noting that Representatives Rowana and Thomas Massie, a Democrat and a Republican, respectively, have both indicated they could pursue articles of impeachment against her for what they describe as gross failure to comply with the Transparency Act. As Khanna put it on the House floor, according to The Hill, the law requires the DOJ to unredact those FBI files. And yet, the department told him they just uploaded whatever the FBI sent us. And those FBI files, they were scrubbed. Survivor statements naming powerful men were all hidden. Bipartisan agreement in 2026 is essentially extinct. So when a Republican from Kentucky and a Democrat from California both look at the same evidence and arrive at impeachment, that should probably tell you something. So where do things stand right now? Every single survivor at today's hearing raised their hand to indicate they have not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Maxwell is sitting in a minimum security prison camp after refusing to answer questions unless Trump grants her clemency, and the Attorney General is apparently using her time to surveil which documents members of Congress are reading. This isn't about partisanship. This isn't about Democrats versus Republicans. Massey proved that today. This is about whether the United States Department of Justice exists to protect survivors of child exploitation or to protect the powerful people who benefited from it. And right now, we have our answer. There's a phrase she used today that I keep coming back to. She said she wouldn't get in the gutter. The survivors behind her have spent years clawing their way out of a gutter that Jeffrey Epstein and his associates threw them into. They didn't need the Attorney General to join them there. They just needed her to turn around. Turns out that was too much to ask. If you found this video informative and you want more clear, fact-based breakdowns like this, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Tap the like button to help more people see this story and push it into the algorithm. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or questions. I read them and they help guide what we cover next. And don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time a new video goes live.